Bayymack is a gifted underground artist from Arizona known for his scenecore, emo, and dance-influenced style music. Bayymack is a great artist with an interesting history. Hopefully this video helps you learn a little more about him.
Tell me what you feel, don't save it. You the only one that ever makes sense. Mindset, ain't no room for saving. I get like that when you leave me like this.
Growing up, Bayymack was a sporty kid. He played football, baseball, soccer, and hockey. Music was in his life early on, but was only a side hobby for most of his youth. Bayymack first got into music through taking guitar lessons at only 4 years old. His father had passed away around this time and his mom put him into guitar lessons thinking it would be good for young Bayymack. Growing up, Bayymack was also involved with modeling, musical theater, and had some singing lessons. Bayymack was born in Long Island but moved to Arizona shortly after his father's passing. Music became Bayymack's main hobby at some point in middle school. Bayymack had an injury preventing him from playing sports but was also realizing he had more of a passion for music. He said it was hard to admit to his mom at first that he wanted to stop playing sports, but she was very supportive with his decision to pursue music instead. In middle school, Bayymack began writing his own music. From playing guitar when he was younger, he was able to conceptualize the songwriting process. Bayymack had a friend named Harrison who was a musician, and the two young artists made music a lot together at the time. Harrison had a music room at his uncle and aunt's house with all types of instruments. Bayymack and Harry were both able to play a few instruments and they would switch around on instruments playing together. Bayymack also had an older cousin named Troy who was in a band at this time, and Bayymack was inspired by Troy because Bayymack looked up to him a lot. Troy exposed Bayymack to a ton of different music such as Nirvana, Foo Fighters, and My Bloody Valentine. At this point in middle school, Bayymack was also listening to electronic music like Skrillex and emo bands like Sleeping with Sirens. Bayymack also found Chief Keef around this time and was super inspired by him. Chief Keef opened up Bayymack's taste to all new types of rap. With all the new music entering his ears, Bayymack was infatuated with music. He knew whether it was rock, rap, or electronic music, he wanted to be a musician. It was when Bayymack was a freshman in high school he started listening to music on SoundCloud with artists such as Playboi Carti and Xavier Wolf. Bayymack and his friends started to upload their own music to SoundCloud and were making meme rap in the beginning, recording on Soundtrap. The first solo song Bayymack released was a diss track to another artist who was the ex-boyfriend of a girl Bayymack was romantically involved with. Bayymack even got in trouble in school for the diss track. He continued to make meme rap songs for a while, gaining attention around school and some internet exposure. Meme rap was popular at the time and Bayymack went to school with the artist known as D-Bangs. Bayymack and D-Bangs would drop diss tracks towards one another. Around when Bayymack was a junior in high school, he wanted to make music that was a little more meaningful and his sound began to evolve. He started to dislike the music he was releasing because it was all just jokes. His life outside of music was also changing. He went through a lousy breakup because he told his girlfriend at the time he wanted to pursue music more seriously. She told Bayymack he should get a job because his music wasn't good. At first, after evolving, he was embarrassed to put out his music because he was being vulnerable in his lyrics. Bayymack started to get into drug use around this time also. Bayymack began getting some attention with his new sound. He said it was a good feeling because he felt like people listening were actually fans and weren't just listening to the music for jokes. The downside at this time was that Bayymack was finding a hard time getting booked on shows for his style of music in his area. Not being able to get booked on shows, Bayymack decided to put together his own events. Bayymack threw his first show at an abandoned apartment complex in 2019 and the turnout was good. Towards the end of the show, things went south and almost had a shooting. Bayymack took a step back from throwing shows. After this, he did a few random local shows, but they weren't great. On December 12, 2019, Bayymack put together a show with a few other artists such as Tux, Saya, and Jax. The show was behind a carpentry warehouse and it sold about 250 tickets. Bayymack said through Tux and Jax he met a producer known as D-Work. This is where Bayymack feels his career really started. Bayymack and D-Work started working together on music. To this day, the song titled Underwater with D-Work is Bayymack's most streamed song. Bayymack said when he started working with D-Work, his music changed for the better. Underwater was the first song Bayymack could listen back to and not get sick of. He said himself and others were impressed by Underwater, so Bayymack knew he was onto something. Also at this time, Bayymack started working closely with a videographer named Nick Stilo. Bayymack met Nick back when he was making meme rap, but at this point in his career, Nick became the #1 right-hand man to the Bayymack project. While working together, Nick was giving Bayymack a lot of advice because Nick had worked with bigger artists in the scene and had wisdom to offer. Another artist Bayymack was collaborating with at the time was an artist known as Listo. Bayymack was going back and forth to LA to collab with Listo. Listo was helping Bayymack with songwriting and giving him a place to stay in LA. The months leading up to the COVID lockdown, Bayymack was releasing music he liked, his streaming numbers were improving, his Instagram following was growing, and he threw another successful show that he headlined. Everything was looking up for Bayymack, but the COVID lockdown seemed to halt his momentum. Bayymack was stuck in the house, unable to throw shows to make money, and couldn't link up with anyone to make music. Bayymack doesn't produce or mix, so he didn't release much music for a while during the lockdown. He took a step back from music and picked up a job selling life insurance. Bayymack took this time to sober up and get some money together. During the break, he was listening to a lot of EDM music and making demos he liked with the new influences. Once the COVID situation lightened up and he had some money saved, he reached out to D-Work to finish the demos. With the demos, Bayymack and D-Work put together the project titled Unamused and the song titled Control. Bayymack said they made all the songs in one session. That was the fastest he ever made that many songs, and he said they were the best songs he had ever made up to that point. He said he never had a recording process in the past that came so naturally and was so seamless. After this, he realized he fully found his sound in music. Bayymack and Nick shot a video for Control and went to LA for a promo push for the Unamused project. Bayymack started throwing shows again that were doing well at the time too. Bayymack was essentially back on the upswing. Bayymack and Nick had thought they needed to make a brand that ties back into everything in the Bayymack project. The brand was titled Tough Love. Bayymack made a Tough Love tape featuring artists from his 12/12/2019 show. After the Tough Love tape, Bayymack went on his first tour with Lil Raven and got mutually tapped in with Raven. A few months later, Bayymack brought Raven out to Arizona for a show and to make music together. Bayymack prepared some opens for Raven and Raven hopped on the song titled Scene Queen. They shot a video for Scene Queen and Raven got the video posted to the YouTube channel Astari within a week's span. This was Baymack's first Astari post and it was boosting his fanbase. Bayymack began opening for big artists that came to Arizona such as Germ and Sheck West. Bayymack also hosted a show on Ken Carson's first tour around this time. In summer of 2021, Bayymack was listening to the artist formerly known as Ashes, who now goes by Stargirl. Bayymack reached out to her to buy an open. The open was for the song Can You Feel My Heart. Bayymack released the song and Astari had asked Bayymack to make a video for it to be posted on the Astari channel. In January 2022, Bayymack officially moved to LA, shot a video for Can You Feel My Heart, originally just on an iPhone but scrapped it for a more professional video. After this, Bayymack went on a few tours with artists known as David Shoddy and then High C. He also played a Subculture show that summer. Late into 2022, Bayymack went on tour with David Shoddy and he did his first international show out in London. Around this time, Bayymack signed his first distribution deal with the label Cleopatra Records and released his project titled I Hate Hollywood. After the project's release, the label helped him release more videos. He recently released music videos for all of his biggest songs like Underwater over the wintertime. During this time, Bayymack said he had been working on a new project but kept trashing the versions he made. He said he had to burn some unneeded bridges and began to search for a new team focused on the sound he was looking to make. Currently, Bayymack is working on the Tough Love 2 tape to follow up all the touring, videos, and other work he's put in over the last year. He said this is his favorite work to date and is set to release sometime between June and July. Bayymack will also be performing with Black Cray and Goth Money Records in June. There's a lot to be excited about for him in the future of Tough Love, but that's all for today's video. Big shout out to Hopeless for the edit, and please subscribe for more mini documentaries on various underground artists.